Have you ever been deep into a really fascinating article or maybe a technical manual, and boom, you hit this massive multi-syllable word that completely derails your train of thought? Honestly, it can feel like hitting a brick wall. But what if the English language isn't some impenetrable fortress, but really just a set of pretty predictable building blocks? In this explainer, we're going to uncover the ultimate vocabulary decoder ring together. By mastering prefixes, stems, and those really subtle shades of synonyms, we are absolutely going to transform the way we read and process information. Let's get into it. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start off by cracking the code, then look at the word building blocks, organize our prefix categories, decode some real-world tech terminology, and wrap up with synonyms and shades of meaning. All right, section 1, cracking the vocabulary code. Let's start with the problem itself, because we've all been there, right? You're scanning a text, feeling super confident, and then you come face to face with a terrifying word that looks totally unpronounceable. Imagine you're reading a historical text and you hit this sentence. "We were shocked to learn of the illimitability of the dictator's power." I mean, how do you even react to a tongue-twisting word like illimitability just sitting right there in the middle of the page? It rarely appears in print, and your first instinct is probably to just skip right over it. But let's see what happens when we apply our code-breaking skills. This is the really cool part. Look at how easily this monster falls apart when you know what to look for. Deep inside is a stem you already know, limit, which simply means to restrict. And right in front of it, the prefix ill, meaning not. Snap those two pieces together, and illimitability totally loses its power to confuse us. It literally just refers to something that has no limits or restrictions. The dictator's power is absolute. Moving right along to section 2, the word building blocks. Now that we've seen how to break a big word down, let's reverse engineer the process. Let's look at how one incredibly simple stem word can be built up into an entire vocabulary arsenal. Take a super common base word like adapt. By just swapping in different prefix blocks, you can rapidly build out a totally new set of words. Toss non on the front and you get non-adaptional. Swap in pre and it's pre-adapt. Add re to make readaptable, or un for unadaptable. You see, you aren't actually learning new root concepts from scratch here. You're just modifying a word you already know inside out. Get this. If you take that single base word, adapt, and just apply different prefixes to it, you can create 24 additional words. It perfectly proves that understanding prefixes is the ultimate vocabulary multiplier. You literally learn one rule, and your reading comprehension expands exponentially. Which brings us to section 3, categorizing your prefixes. Now, looking at a dictionary full of random prefixes might sound completely overwhelming, but instead of memorizing some endless list, we can package them tightly by category so you can digest them as highly specific toolsets. So, the big takeaway here is that prefixes can be neatly organized, starting with our positive and negative decoders. Spot an un, in, or dis, like an untrue or distrust, and you instantly know you're dealing with a negative. It just means not or no. On the flip side, positive prefixes like re mean to do again, like reorganize, while over means too much, like when an engine might overheat. Then we have size prefixes, and these act as instant visual indicators. They range from semi, meaning half or partly, down to micro for something small, all the way up to mega for something incredibly large. So it makes total sense that a microcomputer is small and a megabyte is a huge chunk of data. Next up is our toolset for location and space. Prefixes like inter mean between, which perfectly explains a word like interface. The prefix trans means across, telling us exactly what transmit is actually doing. An extra means beyond, so an extraterrestrial, we know right away we're discussing a creature from beyond our terrestrial sphere. Hopefully a friendly one, right? And finally, we categorize time and number. Pre means before. That's literally why it's called a prefix, because it comes before the stem. Post is after, like a post-dated check. And for numbers, you've got this vast array ranging from mono for one, like in monochromatic, scaling all the way up to multi for many, like in a multiplexer. Okay, section 4, tech terminology decoded. Let's take these new skills for a spin on some real-world computing terminology. The tech world can sometimes feel like a completely alien language, but as you'll see, it plays by the exact same structural rules we just learned. Take the word semiconductor. If you're reading a manual about how transistors are made, this word is everywhere. But think back to our size prefixes. In the tech world, a semiconductor simply means a material that is partly conducting. It's not a full conductor, just a semi one. How about data storage? A megabyte uses that prefix mega, which we filed under large sizes. So even if you have zero background in computer science, that one prefix instantly flags that we are dealing with a uniquely large size of storage. And what if you're reading up on network signals and hit the word multiplexing? At a glance, it sounds super complex, but it makes perfect sense when you pull up our number category. Multi just means many. It's simply describing when many electrical signals are being combined and carried onto one single link. All right, Section 5, Synonyms and Shades of Meaning. We know how words are built structurally with prefixes and stems now, so let's pivot slightly and decode how words actually feel. Because vocabulary isn't just about rigid, literal definitions, it's about exploring the subtle, rich differences between similar words, and that is where synonyms come in.
We often fall into the trap of thinking synonyms are exact clones of each other. Big, large, huge, gigantic, they're all the same thing, right? Well, not exactly. They have nearly the same meaning, sure, but they usually only share those similarities in one very specific sense. To truly master reading comprehension, you have to hunt for the subtle shades of meaning that make each word totally unique.
Let's look at a really good example. Appropriate and apt. They're synonyms. If someone says something fitting, you could absolutely say they made an appropriate remark or an apt remark. Completely interchangeable there. But what if someone is really nervous? You'd say he is apt to laugh. You would never ever say he is appropriate to laugh. Both words mean fit for a purpose, but only apt carries that unique secondary meaning of being likely to do something.
Synonyms also carry entirely different shades of severity. Check out blame versus denounce. Both involve making an unfavorable judgment, but the context is everything. You'd blame your postman for accidentally putting a letter in the wrong mailbox. Minor error, right? But if a politician was caught stealing taxpayer money, you wouldn't just blame them, you would publicly denounce them. Denounce carries this intense public disapproval that blame simply doesn't have.
So let's run a quick semantic decoding challenge straight from the source material. Think about these higher level words. If you admonish a child, are you praising them? Nope, you warn them. If you efface a wrong, you wipe it right out. A perennial favorite isn't some temporary fad, it's enduring. And to subjugate an enemy isn't just a skirmish, it means to entirely defeat them.
Well, we've officially equipped you with the ultimate decoder ring. From recognizing how a simple stem like adapt can multiply into dozens of words, to organizing prefixes of size, location, and time, to finally grasping the subtle severity and totally unique characteristics of synonyms. So the next time you encounter a massive wall of impenetrable jargon, ask yourself, what hidden meanings are sitting right there in plain sight, just waiting for you to unlock them?